Hi everyone, and welcome to Plaid's Studios. I'm here today along with Donna Dewberry, and we together are going to present the Let's Paint FolkArt One Stroke Hometown program. You might be saying, what? Well, if you haven't heard about the Hometown program, let me take a moment and share with you what we've been doing this year. The Let's Paint FolkArt One Stroke program for 2021 has been a program that we've entitled Hometown. When you're sitting at your home and you're looking at the surroundings, you might be looking out a window, you might be facing your front door, you might be looking at the church down the street, or even the farm down the street that includes a beautiful old barn. These are the subject matters that we've been teaching and sharing with you this year. Every single month there's been a whole new lesson. And after we finished a quarterly lesson, we then taught a special bonus project that's been our quarterly roundup. And that's what we're going to do today. We are going to share the lessons from this last quarter, which include the months of July, August, and September. And we're going to create a whole new project today, and Donna's going to be here in the studio to share with you step by step how to paint along with her to create this exact same project. But before we get into our project, I want to share with you a little bit about the FolkArt One Stroke Hometown Kit. If you want to paint along with Donna, if you haven't been already this year, it's never too late. There is a kit that you can purchase on plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. That kit is going to include all of these different components. You'll find a little fun welcome letter directly from Donna and a photograph of the gallery wall that you can create for your home using all 12 of the monthly projects for the year. There's reusable teaching guides. This is key to learning how to paint in Donna's technique of one stroke. These reusable teaching guides, one for every month's project, are coded so that you can load your brush, paint right here on the guide, and practice your strokes, wipe them while the paint is still wet, and practice again. The reusable teaching guides, I often say, are like having Donna at the kitchen table right there with you when you're learning how to paint. It's Donna in a box because you are practicing directly on the reusable teaching guide using Donna's strokes. And as I said, there are 12 different reusable teaching guides, one for every single month of the year, one for every project. Also in our kit this year, we did something different, and we included in the kit 9 individual little sheets that are double-sided. These sheets all come with all kinds of beautiful phrases and words. It's a pattern for you that you can trace and transfer and use on your monthly project if you want to add the word blessed, or bless this home, or life begins on a farm. All kinds of wonderful sayings are on these 9 double-sided pattern sheets. You will also find that we've also included the shapes for the windows that we painted, and the barn, and even all kinds of fun little intricate designs are in this kit. One more element that's really fun, for those of you that love to personalize, you'll notice that in the kit you will receive an alphabet. You receive both the uppercase and the lowercase alphabet, which is perfect for the personalization that can be done on any of our monthly projects. And Donna's going to be working with the stencils today, and she's actually going to show you how to stencil using the alphabet stencils to personalize our design today. All of this can be stored in a beautiful folder that's also included in your kit. These are all hand painted by Donna as a gift for you. It is a folder that contains 2 little pockets so you can store your reusable teaching guides, your stencils, and your line art patterns all in this folder. The kit also includes FolkArt multi-surface paints. The colors that you see on the table here are all included. There are 12 colors and 1 bottle of floating medium. The FolkArt multi-surface paint is fantastic. Besides there being brilliant, beautiful colors, it's rich and creamy in consistency. And the key word when we say multi-surface means just that. This paint can be used on wood, on tin, on glass, on terracotta, on ceramics, on fabric. You name it, it is a multi-surface paint. And you will enjoy working with it. And Donna's going to use that in her demonstrations today. Included in the kit also you will find FolkArt One Stroke brushes. There are actually 4 brushes included in the kit, 2 flats, 2 script liner, and also a scruffy brush. And one last brush that you will find in the kit is a stencil brush, so that when you do want to use those stencils and personalize your project, you'll have the stencils and all the tools you'll need to create each and every one of the monthly projects. It's a kit you're going to die for if you haven't purchased it already. And again, that kit can be found on plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. So as we get ready to teach our project today, let me share with you and do a little recap of what Donna taught and shared with us each lesson in the last quarter. So again, this would be the months of July, August, and September. So for July, Donna taught everyone how to paint this project here. Think about your kitchen window, and when you look out that kitchen window, what do you see? You see a hanging basket, perhaps even a butterfly or a bumblebee, or even in this case, it's going to be a hummingbird coming to visit that basket of flowers. This was the project for July. Not only did you learn how to paint the flowers, which were geraniums and morning glories, you also learned how to paint the sheer curtains and the window itself. So this was the project for the month of July. The month of August was a fantastic project. This is a 10 by 20 stretched canvas. And this one was fun because not only did you learn how to do an ombre background, but you learned how to paint a house, some trees, some designs of wisteria that are kind of climbing up that chimney there. And the focal point up front, in the front of our picture, is the poppies. So there's beautiful bright red poppies with the turquoise of this project, and it creates a very fun project for you. And September, this month, if you're following along with us, this is the project for September. It's all about enjoying the journey. And today this month we learned how to do a window, a stucco brick, stoneware, and even a bicycle filled with a basket full of mini little sunflowers. I know you all are going to be very excited to see what our roundup project is, our quarterly roundup for these quarters. And when we do a quarterly roundup, we take bits and pieces of what we're taught in that quarter to create a whole new project. So let me share with you what the quarterly project is going to be today. We are painting on a plaid surface. This is a 4-slat palette board. Palette signs are so fun and trendy and popular right now. And this is a trip about gathering in the garden. So Donna's going to share with you some of the blue morning glories, the red geraniums. You're going to learn some fun lettering techniques in this project today, and the ombre background to start with too. So without further ado, I know you all are excited to get into this project. Let me step aside and we're going to bring in Donna Dewberry.
Hello, it's nice to be in the Plaid studio again and sharing another roundup with you. And as Chris told you, I'm so excited about using this great surface. It's a fun surface with lots of bright colors, and doing this ombre is a really great way to get a great background besides one solid color. So I'm excited to share with you how we made this all happen. And then Chris taught me some really cute tricks with lettering, so I'm going to share those with you also. And I'm ready to get started. So if you don't have a surface with you ready, be sure to watch and come back and watch again when you have your surface ready and when you've done your background. Before we get started, I want to concentrate on our teaching guides, which are going to tell us different colors that we use when we're creating our flowers and all. But let's look down at the palette board first and let's see what we did for backgrounds. So that can be drying while we go practice our strokes that we're going to put on first. So what we've done here is I used a sap green on the bottom, and then I added a little bit of white, just a touch of wicker white, and I worked it in on my foam plate until I got the colors I wanted. Then I covered this with that, just one coat. Use floating medium in there as you're putting it on the wood, and it will help you get that in there really nice and smooth. Then just add a touch more white and a touch more white. And so you're going to take this and do an ombre from dark to light. So down here where the garden and grass is growing, it would be darker, and then it would be lighter up when the light from the sun is shining. So isn't that great? I thought that was fun. Then you're going to take a sanding block or fine sandpaper and sand off the raised grain, and then you'll be ready. And then all I did on here is take and draw in the shape of the pot I wanted here. And I started using a little bit of moon yellow with burnt umber to get this shading in here. And so I brought it a little bit off the ground because we're gonna come in here and put some moss down in here a little bit later. And so that's our step to get ready. And then I let that sit and dry before we start our next step. All right, so let's look at the 3 months. I'm sure you've been following along, and if you haven't, you're gonna want to, and see all these fun projects that Chris just shared with you that we've done. And everything about this kit makes it simple for you to open up your kit and start step by step with the projects that we do. And then you go and watch each lesson, and each lesson is a full, complete lesson sharing all this with you. And the teaching guide is your guide right there with you. So that's my actual size stroke that I've stroked here. So when you're practicing on here, it's gonna make it easier for you. So let's go here. It's gonna tell you each color that we used of the FolkArt multi-surface, and then it's gonna tell you what brush size I used to make these each happen. So the first thing I wanna do is get my double loader and just share with you a little bit about loading. So I wet my brush, and I'm using the 12 flat, it says right here. I wet it, dampen it, and just lay it on the paper towel to take the excess moisture, because we don't paint one stroke with water. We use it when we're doing script liner work, but the rest of the time we want this thick, luscious, creamy paint. And water will thin it down and get muddy, a muddy look. And see, we want to get this nice stroke here. So what we're going to do is take and split the brush in this double loader. See, I've got the double loader loaded with all the colors that we're going to use. We're going to use citrus green and sap green. I kind of split the brush to pick those up. Come here, work it in with a lot of pressure and quickly so that it goes into the bristles. So I like to show you that you want to make sure there's paint inside those bristles, because that's what holds the bristles together and helps you get a good stroke. All right, so now what I want to have is a folded paper towel that I've dampened in water so that I have an eraser, a fancy eraser here, because this is multi-surface, so it stays on many surfaces because it has a sealer in it, the multi-surface paint, the FolkArt multi-surface. So what I want you to do is don't let it sit on your reusable teaching guide. So I want you to have this wet, dampened paper towel ready to wipe it off, okay? So we're gonna practice, wipe off, practice and wipe off. Now, after you get through and we stroke and paint, if you happen to need more paint, you can come in here and get both colors, or most times you only need one color that you might need more of, or you can touch into some white and bring in a third color. All right, so that's the beauty of having your double loader and loading well. Now, what I want to share with you is I came right here and I practiced to see if it's the color I want it to be. See that? All right, and then after you get the color it needs to be, it's going to tell you that these are the lines you start at, and it's going to show you which direction you're going to practice, okay? So I'm making sure in between, I'm going to show you that in between you can just come here and pick up more paint, because we're on a slick surface. You're going to be fine with that. Let me move these to the side here. Okay, so we're starting right here, and I want you to see, try to keep your brush handle, I'm leaning it so you can see, but try to keep it up so your bristles are doing the springing, see that? And I always say half sprung, so that's between up here, which lots of people want to stand up on the chisel, and that's not going to give you good results, and they push too hard, and then they get this look, and that's not going to give you good results. So if you're half sprung, you're in between all the way down and all the way up. All right, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, And I'm going to slowly, the first time I practice, slowly see each one of those wiggles. See that? All the way around. Then when you practice this, it always looks better when you paint it to go quicker. So when you practice it, you get to where you're comfortable to do that movement. And so it's a scrubbing movement. So see, it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So each time you're practicing, that's what you're going to see happen.
And Donna, for our new viewers that might be watching you today, let's just explain, when you're saying half sprung, we're really talking about the amount of pressure that you're applying on the brush.
Exactly. That's a good point. So half sprung to me is just not all the way up where there's no pressure and not all the way down with full pressure, but halfway. All right, so after I practice this, I picked up a little bit more paint. Here's a sample for you to go all the way around. Okay, you could stop and come part way this way. And I want you to be comfortable. So when people say, can I turn my surface and my teaching guide? Yes, you can, see? All right, now the next step, now you're practicing while your surface is drying, okay? So you're not wasting any time here. So I'm gonna wash my brush, and after I do all my geranium leaves, I'm gonna come in here and see this. We're gonna float apple red into the leaf. And to me, that's what makes a geranium look like a geranium. Can you see how pretty these look over here? See the red that goes inside? So I put all of those big leaves before I put the blossoms. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna come pick up some floating medium. So I dip into the floating medium. I have a lot of floating medium, so just go a little bit. And I'm gonna come here and work it into my brush, and then I side stroke a little bit of apple red. Okay, now what you're gonna do is come over here. This one's pretty wet, so I'm gonna practice. You're gonna see if it looks like it's supposed to look. Then, because sometimes people put red all the way across. Now, when I'm saying I'm floating, it's never the whole brush. That's where most students have a problem. They're not understanding that it's just on the corner. Can you see that? On the very outside corner. And then the floating medium helps you float. So that means it's going from strong all the way to light or nothing. All right, so you're gonna come right inside. Let me see if it's dry enough we can do that. Right inside here, you're gonna come here. Look how pretty that's gonna be. All right, I came in a little bit more on this one.
But so for our students watching today, when they paint theirs, you're suggesting that they paint all step one of just putting the green on, completely letting each leaf dry before we do this red.
Right, it has to be dry to be able to float. So whenever you want to float something, understand it needs to be totally dry. So Chris is right, that when I was saying that we want to paint all the leaves with just the first step, then we come when they're all dry and go paint somewhere else, and then come back and be ready to practice. And I mean, you've already practiced, then you'll be ready to come do that next step. Okay.
It's always so fun to watch you paint. I can't wait to see you put some geranium leaves on our project today.
I know, let's get started. All right, so I just want to share with you really close here. See this floating around here? We're gonna do that later. So when you're seeing this and you're thinking, but that doesn't look like that yet, I'm gonna go ahead and put all the green leaves and even some of these vine leaves. We'll look at those too. But we put all that on first and then we come back, all right? So let's pick up our 12 flat. Now you would think it's a big leaf, it needs to be a 3/4, but it really doesn't. If you're doing a large project, larger than this, geranium leaves still are not, aren't huge, so the 12 should work for you. All right, so I think you can still see if I lay the palette here. We're gonna pick up those two colors again, and I need citrus green and sap green, and this time, because I'm on wood, it's gonna absorb more. I'm gonna work my medium in, okay? Because you need it to go smooth on here.
And that's the FolkArt floating medium,
yes.
Right, Donna?
So the FolkArt floating medium, what's going to be good about that is when you're sitting here painting and you feel, I need water, that's when you're gonna go get more of the FolkArt, the more of the floating medium, okay? So look right here, we're gonna go all the way around because I want this to be really big. So this time I'm trying to push down. When I said usually you don't push, I'm pushing lots of pressure on here so I can get around. And then I can just pull this and fill it in because that's gonna be just what I want when I'm all done, that size, okay? So you see, if I'm not happy with something, I just go right back over it. And that's the beauty of one-stroke painting. You can just pick up more paint and stroke right back over it. All right. And so the next, don't sit there and try to wipe it off. Just pick up more paint and stroke over it usually because you can make a really big mess on your piece if you start wiping off, all right? Now I'm going to do a small one here. Okay. Right now, I want to show you more what I'm wanting this to look like. Let's do a better one right up here. All right, so look what happens here. I'm going to do a little V, which is right there on the guide. All right, see that V? And then that gives me an area to go to. So look. But see, now I can tell I need some medium, floating medium when it's starting to be dry. All right, so just more paint usually, but every once in a while we pick up a little bit of floating medium. Okay.
As beginners start learning your technique, Donna, I think they're always surprised at how much paint you actually put in your brush. Your brushes are fully loaded with the FolkArt multi-surface paints.
Exactly.
More so than a beginner might think.
You're right. And so what happens, I just want you to know that with the 12 flat, usually you are picking up enough paint that you don't need medium, the floating medium. But when I'm on a drier surface, even though this is fully loaded and you're going, I have plenty of paint. Why is this dry? Well, the reason it's dry is because of the surface. So I would still go into the medium, work it in, the floating medium, work it in, and then come right back here and stroke it. Now, see, I'm just freehand painting here. And if you are looking at the project that we're doing, I just want you to know that I sometimes just take a piece of chalk, and because the chalk will wipe right off our project here afterwards. And I will just put chalk where I want the leaves to go. And for you, if you're a beginner, that makes it really easy for you to follow and not feel uncomfortable, because then you can say, oh, that leaf is too small or that leaf is too little. All right. Now, what I want you to see is how big these are. So if I put my finger there, it's like 3 fingers wide. And that's what these two are. And then these are a little bit smaller. But that's where people, when they're watching the video, when painters are watching the video, sometimes they lose the size. So I want you to see that. I did put another one up here. And, oh, there we go. I bet Miss Chris sent that to me. I'm sure Stephen doesn't know all of our tricks. Steve has been filming with us for a while now, so I said he's going to be painting soon. All right, so just regular chalk, and then you would put just little, say I want another one right here, and you could figure out the size you wanted by doing that, so it really helps you. Same thing over here when I did the stems I'm going to be doing. All right. Okay, so like I said, we're going to let this dry. I'm going to put one more right here, making sure I'm out here. I did my V first, and then I come all the way around. And sometimes the new growth, these small little leaves, are going to be brighter green sometimes, all right? Just like they are when you're seeing fern and ivy. See, so let's make this one a little bit more light. Okay. All right. So now let's go and look while this is drying a little bit before we start something next. Let's look at some little leaves. All right. So we have some vines, little leaves that I found here. And so we practice just like I have a two-sided leaf that's going to be here, and we see the teaching guides have the reusable teaching guides have everything that we need on there. So I'm going to pick up the same colors again, and let's practice this leaf because we're going to do a smaller version of this leaf on here. And instead of, this is a 3/4, instead of the 3/4, I am going to use, well, let's go ahead and use the 3/4 because that's what's on the guide and it'll be easier for you to practice. All right, so let's pick this up, work it in, at least 2/3 up your brush, citrus green, sap green, and then it talks about what I used actually is I came over and picked up a little bit of wicker white on the citrus green so that I would get this brighter color on our piece. All right, so look, we're gonna come right here and we're gonna practice. Right here, I want you to pretend there's like a magnet there. So if I will go around with this 3/4 inch flat brush and I keep that dark green right on that spot there, your magnet, then you can get that shape. So it's kind of like a seashell. See, as soon as I can see the seashell, then I can start standing up and sliding. So when I stand up, what that means is I've got half sprung here with pressure, and as I get here, I stop having pressure and I slowly lift to the chisel. All right, that's your chisel. And then I'm pulling a stem down into it with the chisel. All right, so like I said, oops, we're gonna practice this. I never tell you guys to do it in the air, but to put it down and not to put it down on top of your piece, okay, when you're practicing. All right, so let's go ahead and put those vines. All right, and in here, there's even vines to practice. There's all kinds of fun step outs for you to look at the guides. You got the guides at home with you. Like Chris said, it's like my actual strokes are there with you. All right, so I'm gonna take and I'm going to start here, and whatever color follows is gonna be the predominant color. So I can start with the lighter corner going first, and then I'm gonna come all the way up here. Now, when I got up here, if I just had the light, if I had flipped the brush and the light was following, it would be all light up here. So you wanna make sure that you have some darkness up here. And then I came across and over. Now, what makes that move like that for you is a little bit of medium as you go. All right, so I have some more. These are all vines coming out of your clay pot. All right, so I came down here, have a little, oh, you know what this one is? This is a little geranium blossom. And here's a little blossom. And then I have some up here. Sometimes I will put those stems in after I pick a place to paint geranium bud, and then I would come in there. All right, so see, I'm gonna come out from the vine and do more vines. You see that? Put a little one up here. Now, when you're doing this, this is real important. See this chisel, the chisel edge, if I put it here, you don't want to lean forward and make a big branch. You want to lift the front slightly, not like this, not all the way, but slightly, and then make this nice little vine. But see, this little vine needs some lighter color. So see, I flipped the brush. So that will become comfortable for you after you practice and work with our technique with one stroke a little bit more. But right now, we get to put all these pretty vines, and guess what? They don't have to be beautiful and perfect. I mean, they have to be beautiful, of course. They don't have to be perfect, because guess what? We put all kinds of flowers and things on there. So don't say, oh my gosh, I messed it up. If you have one that got a little thick, I have a couple here that aren't perfect, but guess what? I'm gonna put my leaf there and work on that. All right, so here's the leaf. Let's get more paint. I can come back here, get more of both colors, then pick up the wicker white again, lighten that edge, then a little bit of medium. And then when you get the medium, only every 2 to 3 strokes at the most, you go get medium. All right, so.
And we're still working with the floating medium, right,
yes,
Donna?
I know. Floating medium. You know why I have to say that every time? Because there are many different kinds of mediums at Plaid. So we want to make sure that you're using the right medium. All right, so let's come up here. Now watch this. This is kind of fun. Here is a V, and this V we're going to take and stroke that way. But then what I'm going to do is I have the dark in the middle. I'm going to take, let me move this. I'm going to just step out here with the dark on the outside. See the lights on the outside? I'm going to come here and put the dark on the outside and get, it's dry. I got to go get more paint and more floating medium. Okay, so watch. We're going to come out here now and have the dark on one side and the light on the other. So now, see how I didn't meet well there? Look, it's as easy as going right back over this. So there's no mistakes. It makes it really easy for you. And then you pull a stem in there. Okay, then we're gonna put just a couple little one-stroke leaves. And I call these like slider leaves, because look what happens. We just slide them. All right, we can use a 12 to do that. I don't want to do very many with this brush, but watch. I'm going to touch, pressure, stand up slowly, and slide to a point. All right, so as we keep going here, here's our 12 again, our 12 flat. So we're picking up citrus green, sap green, and wicker white, and a touch of floating medium. Okay.
And the wicker white is on what side of the brush, Donna?
Oh, the wicker white's on the, that's a good question. The wicker white is on the citrus green, the lighter side. Like sometimes I add like aqua, I would put that on maybe the sap green side, darker on the dark, lighter on the light usually. Okay, so as I get to the end of the vine, we're going to make little smaller leaves, just like a vine would grow. And we're going to put, this is a morning glory vine, and we did that in our window that we did earlier in the year.
That was part of the July project.
Oh, the July, that's right. So in July we did that, and I put another big leaf here, a larger leaf, but you can do that larger leaf just like we did with the 3/4 with the 12. Okay, so all right, so now what's going to happen is, let's go look. I want to go ahead and put the apple red inside the geranium leaf. So remember what I needed? I needed floating medium. All right, so I'm going to pick up, clean this brush, pick up floating medium, and pick up apple red. All right, so it's just dry enough that we have no problem doing it now. The wood absorbs the moisture pretty quick, so it dries quicker than on a canvas.
This step of adding the floating of the apple red just creates like a blush on each of the geranium leaves, which really kind of totally identifies the leaf as a geranium leaf, doesn't it, Donna?
I have no doubt it's geranium when I see the red, but you know, some of them don't have.
That's true. There's many different varieties of geraniums.
And some have pink too. Have you seen those? Those
Yes.
are beautiful too. But I love when I came up with this little trick of how to make this easy for people and for myself. I was tickled because this leaf actually will make a lily pad. And it makes doing, what do you call that? It is a pad, right?
Yeah.
They call it a plate sometimes. A lily plate. Right.
Well, for those of us that are viewing you today that possibly are beginners or maybe even new and wanting to learn to paint, let me just share that part of the beauty of FolkArt One Stroke is that once you learn a few key brush strokes, a few key terms of how much paint to put on the brush, when to use floating medium, when not, when to use water, when not, there's just a couple basic things to always learn. And once you do that, those brush strokes can be used many, many different times to create so many different things.
Exactly. So, and lots of people say their favorite thing besides doing flowers with me is when they learned how to do leaves. And it does take a little practice, guys. When I make it look so easy, I do make it look easy, but it is easy, but you have to practice. So if you think you're going to pick up a brush and be stroking it immediately perfect in every way, you have to give yourself a break.
Well, how many years have you been painting FolkArt One Stroke, Donna?
Oh my God.
25 years. So immediately a beginner's work is not going to look exactly like yours, but it does take practice, like any craft does.
Yeah, but you know, what's surprising, Chris, is that people tell me all the time, I went home and I painted, and somebody saw it and said, when I said I painted it, they went, oh, you never told me you were an artist. So when I say that to people later, they come back and they go, oh my gosh, they did think I was an artist. And I was like, so look, I like to tap this to spread the paint. So I can get to it. See, I'm going to pick up some apple red and moon yellow. See this? And before I put it on my project, I'm going to go practice on my reusable teaching guide, because this is the geraniums right here. That there's some that I just did apple red and some that I added the yellow, the moon yellow. So see that? I put that on the wrong side though, on the opposite side. All right, so just wipe it off. And I've got moisture. So look, when you have moisture, if you're thinking, oh, that's really wet, it's because I didn't lay it on the paper towel and get all the moisture out. But you can see it right at the ferrule when that happens. All right, so let's pick up some moon yellow over here, apple red, and flatten it right here. Now this is a single stroke. So with single strokes, you do not need medium almost ever, okay? So see that? If you're using a 12 or smaller, all right? So now I want you to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're gonna practice right here and get this stroke. So right here shows you the stroke. You're going up and over. So I'm just touching 1, 2, and it slides around. I want you to feel this feeling that you're getting here will help you be able to paint on glass, because glass slides a little bit. And so you'll feel more comfortable if you practice a little bit on the guide to get that feeling, okay? Now some of this, see how I used a little bit of licorice here? So some of it is licorice and apple red, which will give you some depth inside of some of them. So see how the moon yellow over here, and then some on this side, some of them are mixed, not just one color, but 2 colors as I layer the blossoms, okay? So what we're gonna do next is go right to our piece. So I came way out here and wanted a little bud. Oh, you know what? I forgot to tell you something. I want you to make sure that you lay out where your words are going to be first. And if you don't do that, then what will happen is you'll get carried away. I can't imagine, but you could get carried away like I just did before I shared something else with you. So I'm going to show you in one of our steps how to do this lettering, okay? So the first thing that I did was we want to make sure of the words. When Chris and I were looking at this, we said, what words do we want in here? All right, so we figured out, and we trace this right from your patterns that you get in the kit. This is gathering, so we trace it on tracing paper, and we use IdentoPen, to a permanent marker, to trace it. But we made sure on the rest of the pieces that are the words that we wanted to write on here, and we decide where they're going to be in this panel. So we did garden, and then right in here, see, I still have enough room. I almost messed up. All right, but we put a straight line there of where we wanted it to land. And then I'm going to show you later how we make that all line up really good. Okay, and then the last part the garden did go over. See how it does go over the greenery a little bit? So we're going to show you those steps. I just wanted you to know it's important. Just because I could just lay it out because I know what I'm doing, I still is a lot more important that we put that in first. All right, even if you just trace it on here with graphite paper. So you could use white or gray graphite paper and trace on your words so that you're ready to not get into them while you're painting, okay? So that's why I was worried right here. I want to make sure I've got this in the right spot. So we're going to come here and we're going to do little teeny bud strokes. So I then did a second layer right here and then chisel. These are all the strokes you can practice on the reusable teaching guide. Then I push and lift on the chisel and make a couple of little hanging petals. And that's how these little geraniums look. They have that stem that comes up first, and then they have these little guys that hang up underneath that is also another signature of a geranium. See that? All these little guys down in here. Okay, so we're gonna pick up again. We'd like to find out if anybody out there has questions too, Miss Chris.
Well, I will share with everyone that as we are filming today, that this lesson is pre-recorded. We filmed this while Donna was in town, and so you're actually watching a pre-recorded lesson today. However, both Donna and I are here live with you as you are watching this on Facebook. So if you do have a question, be sure and type it in the comments section, and either Donna or myself will be happy to answer the question for you.
Exactly. It's nice to have an opportunity to have these each quarter, even if I'm not here. So this is a perfect way for us to do that. And Stephen's right here to make it happen, right?
That's right.
Okay. So I had the little buds, and then what's key in here is to find a couple places to do a cluster. All right. Now, what I'm going to do down here, I'm just going to come the yellow, that moon yellow, makes really pretty contrast. And then I keep picking up the apple red, and then I'm going to come back in here, and I'm going to break through the break in the fence here, or the palette, and come back up here and do this stroke. Now, some of these I put a teeny bit of wiggle in. So here's a cluster that I'm going to put right here. So I'm going to put, see, a little bit. When you put pressure, you can wiggle a teeny bit. And now, since it's a cluster, like I said, we're going to just put a few petals, and then we're going to come and overlap that petal, that first blossom, and another blossom. All right, now remember what I said, I used some dark. So what we're gonna do is come right here and get a teeny bit of licorice. See this?
And did you put that just on the corner of the brush, Donna?
Yeah, I just dipped a teeny bit, or you can come right here and lay it down and just get an itty bit if you're worried you're gonna dip too much. All right, so that's what's gonna give us some depth. So look, if we come in here, see now that's overlapping, you can't see it well. So I picked up on the other corner, licorice, the other corner, we have the moon yellow. All right, so I can still have this in here and get some depth in the flower, because sometimes just all red, see how it's all red there? I'm gonna come back in here. Remember how I said you can restroke something if you feel like it needs more? So I don't have to wipe it off. I just pick up a little bit more paint. Now, doesn't this look fun?
You know, here in the South, Donna, I know you live in Florida, and we are located here in the state of Georgia at Plaid. Our flowers and our gardens are still, full of flowers, and we can still enjoy this little palette sign for our gardening.
Well, I think it'd be beautiful outdoors and indoors, especially we have multi-surface paint, so it'll go on our patio. And then
But for those up north who maybe their gardens are spent and gone and it's turning fall for them, think about what a great holiday gift this would be for your favorite friend who is a gardener. It's never too late to paint something like this and give it as a gift.
Well, I think it's nice to have the flowers there when the flowers aren't blooming, because then you can look at this and remember what is going to happen. And you know what? Chris, unless you're a very good gardener, we don't get these pretty geraniums as well in Florida as you guys have up here. It's just beautiful up here. I think it's lush. I don't know if we have too much humidity or what. Okay, so I know you're a master gardener if you've got yours blooming well. All right, so let's get a little, see, these take a little bit of time, but they're worth it when we're done. See how I put a little red in there? Just put a little bit in here. And I put some pretty close over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a couple more. And then let's, I'm gonna go ahead and address the centers of these while we're here. And so what I usually do, I use a couple of different steps and different colors, but you can also see all these right here on your guide. So you can pick up just citrus green sometimes, put a little citrus green in some of these, or you can put moon yellow, or if you want to set your center a little bit more, you can put some licorice or sap green. All right, right in here. And you don't have to get every single spot, but we're going to do that. And then I can come back with my moon yellow. Or, no, we use more citrus. I forgot what I used. There we go, a little bit more citrus and moon yellow. All right, now what I didn't do yet, before we're finished with these little guys, is we need stems. Now, you saw that I did stems for the tall ones, but sometimes these guys look like they need a stem in there. Actually, I put stems on the leaves, so we're probably safe. But look, I can come in here and just take that 2-script liner and pull a few of these down so they look like they're attached. Okay, there we go. Now let's go to the morning glories. All right, so they're going to go at the top here. Now, I love this bright, vivid blue, and it actually comes from a really dark blue, and it's Prussian blue. So let me put this out here and show you that we are going to use, let's see, it says we're using the 12 again. I just want to remind you, when I'm going there, it also says that we're using Prussian blue and Wicker white.
That is the beauty of purchasing this FolkArt One Stroke hometown kit, because, like I said in the intro, having these reusable teaching guides, one for every month, it really is like having Donna in the box. Donna's home with you when you are practicing at your kitchen table and you're loading your brush and stroking the strokes directly over the reusable teaching guide. Those are Donna's actual strokes. So you're practicing right there along with Donna there next to you. So it's really a very, very beneficial key to learning how to paint FolkArt One Stroke.
What I wanted you guys to always know with the guides is I wanted to figure out what would make it easy for you to do this at home with me. And as you see, I practice right there. So you see the color, because that's usually most people's difficulty, is trying to get a nice blend. And they either are all dark green when they do a leaf, or all muddy or really light. So see, you can see that I shaded that just right by doing that. We also, that's the trumpet. And then this is like almost like the geranium leaf we just did, but we're going all the way around. And then after you do that, look at this. I'm going to come back in here and make a smile. Okay, so right here you can practice the smile right here. So it's chisel, lay the brush down with pressure, come all the way up and chisel again. And then you can just move this in so that you can see down inside the trumpet. Now the key is, wherever this is, the smile has to come right from here, because that's where you're going to go inside. So So if you're not careful and you just come in here and go like this, then there's something wrong with that, right? So that helps you see. All right, then I think, did I do any side views? I did a bud and I did a side view. Okay, so let's look at that. All right, this is still the 12, and I'm not using medium because I'm on the teaching guide. All right, so we're going to wiggle these and pull down. Okay, so one thing you can do is wiggle, slide to get that movement. And this is what it looks like. This, if you look at this bud, let me show you this bud first. Look, we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, like an S on top of here. All right, so that twists open, all right, and then this is what happens. You've got this. Now we're gonna come on the front of it, and we are going to just wiggle across, just like it's starting to open, and there we have the side view. Okay, so you practice that till you feel more comfortable with it, and then you're ready to go to your piece. All right, so I am going to pick up more of this Wicker white and Prussian blue. It's very, very dark, almost looks black, but it goes all the way to a pale blue, so pretty. All right, so let's come right here. I'm gonna turn this around so I can get to it a little bit easier. All right, so I'm going to come right here with the bud. So I want a little point on the bud. Then I'm gonna come right here and go down because they twist. So they're unfolding, and you come here and down and there and down. Okay, so then we're gonna put some calyx around this. All right, so let's come in here and add a couple of these trumpet parts of the flower. So I always say it's kind of like you're going to make a bell. All right, let's get some more paint. And this one up here is going to be a full one, but let's go here and put, you want it really slender down here. It'll look better. Okay. So I love having you here with us today and paint. Oh, I have one up here. And paint this fun project together. And I love for you to share it on Let's Paint Group. We love to see you accomplish and share so that we know you like what we're sharing and you want to see more of it. Okay?
And what Donna's referring to is the Facebook group, and the name of it is Let's Paint with Plaid. And if you do take a picture of your project and share it within our group, please do use the hashtag Let's Paint Challenge. It's 3 words, but all run together with no spaces, no apostrophe in the S of Let's.
And what's hashtag?
What is a hashtag?
Yeah.
You're talking about the symbol, or are you talking
the
about
symbol?
Oh, it's just like a pound sign.
It's a pound sign. We were at our convention and people did not know what that was. So Chris was sharing with them. It's a number sign, like the pound sign. Okay, so see, that's going to be a big one. All right. So now all we're going to do to each one of these, I want you to see that I'm going to have a light wave, pretty much like that geranium we just did. And you notice I put all the trumpet parts in first. And then I come around and put all of the face. Now, sometimes you don't have to do a trumpet. You can just do, like in our lesson I showed, we can just do the whole round face, like it's looking straight at you. Now you see where I can tell it's getting dry. I have to go pick up some more paint. Okay. Another one right here. This one's tricky. I'm going to go part way over. And you just want to make sure that you still see some of the trumpet. Okay, now you remember I said we need a smile? So I'm gonna put a little bit of, there's two ways on this. You can let this totally dry and float it with the floating medium like we did. Or you can take and load this with white and blue again. And they have white down in the throat of this. So see? And then right here, we're gonna chisel, lay it down, chisel. You'll see how good I am. I'm upside down and sideways.
It's looking very pretty, Donna.
Okay, thank you. I was like, oh my gosh. All right, there we go. So just touch it up a little bit if you think. I can't see it because of the glare, so I'm gonna just go ahead and put it in again. There we go. Now to finish this off, you know how easy it is? There's two little steps we're gonna do. You go back to your reusable teaching guide. It's gonna show you the next steps to do. All right, but look, I have the center right there. So we're gonna take and put the moon yellow right in the center here. It's a little bit taller, not just a dot, but you could just do a dot. All right, and that's gonna just set it off and make it a really pretty flower. Okay, then you won't see it inside here. Then I even put a little teeny dot of white on some of those. Any little piece that you add to it just brings more detail, but guess what? You can just put a little teeny dot with the handle of your brush and be done. I just wanted to show you a little bit more. Now let's go back to our 12, and this is our 12 flat, citrus green, sap green, little bit of white. Work that in, and we are going to put a couple little calyx on here, and they are going to be long, slender. You can also do this with your script liner, but I taught you in here how to do it with just up on the chisel of this 12 flat. All right, so look at this guy. We're gonna come around and slender, all right, and make sure it's attached to the vine or add another vine. And there we go.
Donna, let me share too with our viewers today, if they are first-time viewers, the 3 lessons that Donna's teaching pieces and parts from, which is from our hometown lessons, the July, August, and September videos are still up, and people can go back and actually watch the full lesson. They can go to plaidonline.com/Let's Paint to view each monthly lesson, or you can find them on the Plaid Crafts YouTube channel.
Yes, because I sometimes forget to tell you guys where to go see those. When I go looking, I put Donna Dewberry with Plaid Crafts when I'm on YouTube, and it goes right there. But there's so many artists. There's Miss Chris and Andy and Jessica. There's all kinds of wonderful artists here at Plaid.
Yeah, the best way to get to any and all of our free Let's Paint lessons is to go to the Plaid Crafts channel on YouTube. And that's where you can find them, because there's going to be a category for all of Andy Jones' lessons. There's a category for the Donna Dewberry FolkArt One Stroke lessons. There's a whole category for the Let's Paint Live lessons. It's all broken down within the Plaid Crafts YouTube channel.
And Plaid's been so good to us. I'm telling you, they are investing so much into you guys by putting these beautiful videos that tell you how to use our product and make things make sense to you. When I'm just recently, I just shared that I went to, I want to see what some key parts of using the new terracotta paint. And so I was able to go right there and watch Kira and work on all this terracotta paints, and just opens your mind to everything you can do in painting and creating with Plaid. Now look, I have a little grass in here, up on the chisel. Okay, I think I used all 3 of these so far, sharing with you the different looks that we can get, and the little, hey listen, this is your garden. You can add more flowers and more colors, make it yours, okay? All right, so I could have used a little bit more darker green, but look how good that light green looks.
And what is it that you're getting ready to paint down in that area, Donna?
I'm going to paint poppies.
And so the leaves that you just put in, are they on the Poppy Reusable Teaching Guide?
I use those leaves where I practiced with you guys earlier. They are on the back of, they're right here with the Morning Glory, and the poppy ones are right here. Remember, we practiced that just a few minutes ago, but I used the light on the outside edge. It's also the ones I used up here. So it gives you the pop. Oh, now we got to practice the poppies. Hello. Okay, so we're going to take and I got curlicues to put on here, tendrils. Let's put that on there. And also, let's look at this little guy here before this pod. What I did was take a 2-script liner and I did little teeny strokes. And that's right here. See this painting right here? There's the pod for the bud for the poppy. So I put that light pod there first, and then you go around and make a little teeny center. What did I put in there? A little bit of citrus in the middle. All right, to get that pod in there, and which is the bud. All right. So I'm just taking off that chalk a little bit so you can see. All right, so now what we're gonna do is, let's practice poppies. So what we're gonna do with this, there's a little bud, there's a side view, and there's our turned poppy, and this one's straight on. So I put one of these and a couple of the buds, but this is the key. You're gonna put all red on the 12 flat. Then I'm gonna stroke by laying the brush in the yellow, okay, the moon yellow. And then as I put this on here, 1, 2, 3, 4, well, you practice over here first. Watch this, you put pressure and lift, pressure and lift. Now, if you just pressure and pull, that's what you're gonna get. This is what people do all the time. They go, why isn't it looking right? And then they put all these on top of it. See, that doesn't look the same as if you put pressure and lift, okay? So we're gonna wipe this off and let's go build this flower together with me. But the beautiful thing is you practice right on here so you know that you're doing the actual size stroke I'm doing. So here's the apple red, moon yellow, and I'm gonna come right here and I'm gonna push down and lift. I'm gonna do this. This is a little bit brighter, but I think it's pretty. Okay, and here. All right, and I'm gonna put a little one coming from down here. And I picked up a teeny bit of licorice, okay, on the bottom side. And that will be the back of the back petals. And then I can wipe that off and pick up apple red and moon yellow and make the ones in front have some brighter color. Okay, and the last one is right here. So you can see that's dry, it doesn't have enough paint. So we put one, pick up some moon yellow, apple red. All right, the second one's over here and slides over. Turn the brush because there's still paint on the other side. Pick up some moon yellow, and there we go. So weren't those easy? All right, now what happens to make them look like poppies? You can go back to your teaching guide. What makes them look like poppies is kind of like the signature geranium leaf, is these little black licorice spots on a poppy. And so I put a couple from behind, but this one right here in the middle, we're gonna have 1 and 2, 3. There we go. All right, and sometimes I do take the handle of the brush and just dot the middle. All right, so now last thing I want to do on here before we, no, I have a couple of things I want to go, but I want to do the inky. I get water, go here to your sap green, a little bit more sap green.
And what brush are you using, Donna?
Oh, that's important. This is a 2-script liner. 2-script liner. I make it long like a fountain pen, the way the paint comes off of it, because it just runs down to the tip. So that means don't lay the brush down, only be on this tip. So when you're up on the tip, you're coming here. I want you to practice this first. See, because there's so much paint that stays in it, it does that for you. So this is what you do. You roll your brush in the paint, in the inky paint. Only time I use water, remember. Then you hold it like you're writing with a pen, and then you move it up to your knuckle. And then what you're doing is practicing with your little finger, making circles, or you can put your hand and go like this, because some of us out there have arthritis, so it makes it easier for you to do that sometimes. All right.
I like to share with beginners learning how to use a liner brush like that. When you're telling them how to hold the brush, the key thing to me is to tell them that the end of the brush should be like facing the ceiling, straight up.
This end, that's good. Okay, so one thing that I didn't do is using our scruffy. Okay, so we have our 1/4-inch scruffy. No, this is a 1/2-inch scruffy, excuse me. All right. Oh, I did come in here with my liner. I just want to show you what's really fun. Remember I said that floating part? I am taking burnt umber and I made a little crack in here. So look, I just came up. Can you see that? There we go. Just a little bit of crack coming up. And
the crack on the terracotta pot?
Yes. Okay. Now, if I want it to look more realistic, I just take licorice on the one side and make it a little wiggly, so it looks like it cracked in there, and not instead of just the burnt umber. And I also say use a bigger brush. A bigger brush is better when I'm floating something bigger like this. I like to have a foam plate. Look, I'm going to pick this up and just put the burnt umber. I like to go next to the burnt umber puddle, and then with my medium and here pick it up and push. See how I'm going like that? I'm pushing the burnt umber to the edge. So then what happens is after this is dry, and all my yellow is not dry, look, I can fit in there. All right, I'm gonna come along here and keep that dark brown. This is the key, look, this brush is laying flat. See that? So I keep picking up medium and burnt umber, and I'm gonna go flat along here. And if you get carried away and put too much, guess what? You take a wet paper towel and wipe it off and do it again. Don't let it dry. When people said, oh, you said I could wipe it off. Well, you can't let it dry, guys. You got to wipe it off before it dries. All right, so now look. If I'm flat, this is not flat. This is flat. I'm going to go around the flower, and I'm being careful because it is wet. All right. And you can come on this side too. You can also float a darker color around the outside of paintings sometimes too, but we've got this dark green here. So now let's use our scruffy brush. All right, we're almost through with our little project. We have a couple little fun tricks though. We're going to do our lettering, and we're going to pounce our scruffy. This doesn't get water until you clean it. So I'm pouncing sap green, pouncing citrus green, okay? And then I am gonna even pounce a teeny bit of wicker white. Oops, I put my finger in that. And we're gonna pounce all down in here. More sap green. Okay, so ever so lightly. It's got moss growing down here at the bottom of the pot.
We can hear you tapping.
That's important, guys. All right, but isn't that fun? I even have moss coming out of the pot sometimes. All right, so now to clean this brush, if you see me over here at all, you probably don't. Look, you're gonna pounce up and down instead of raking this brush because these are natural hairs. All right, and then I dry it so it's all ready for my next project. Now, I have a little trick that we're gonna do really quick that's kind of fun, and that is fly specking this piece. And we use sap green to do this process. So we're gonna go into the water with our paintbrush.
Now, what kind of brush are you using? I don't think it's a paintbrush.
This is our toothbrush, an old used toothbrush, or a new toothbrush that you use just for this. All right, so I do want to practice that a little bit, just to make sure. If you're a newbie, you want to make sure that you're not going to go crazy with this. So I'm going to hold this brush and I'm going to flick it and see if it's too watery. Actually, it looks good when it was a little watery on here, but you don't want it too thick, just right. So we're gonna, oops, see, that's a lot, but that's okay. I don't think there's any mistakes you can make with this. We make snow, we do all kinds of fun techniques with our fly specking, okay? And sign it, of course, right? So let's go, let me clamp my hands. Let's go look at the lettering real quick, because that's how you finish off a piece and make it special. Because see how special this is with all that on there? Look how pretty. Now see, picking the colors, we were sitting there for a while looking, saying, what colors do we want? All right, so you are on the dark green, so we put the bright, and then we could get darker on our lettering even as we went up. But see how it pulls the blue from there and completes our piece? Okay, so let's look at this for a few minutes. And a couple things I learned that made it really nice is Chris has lettered for many years. And one thing that I always struggled with is having all these letters and lining them up. But what made it really important is decide what words we wanted, you know, into my garden and make sure that they fit. But we were okay. See, I didn't tape it all together. Usually we have it all together in one long piece on one piece of tracing paper, because we want to just lay it on our piece and trace it out. But we had these little slats. Each one of these slats on here, it fit perfect on there, so it made it so we could simply do them each on one of these separate sheets. All right, so then what this was from our pattern packet. I don't have that right in front of me, but that was from our pattern packet. And then right here, look what happens here. Okay, thank you. All right, so gather, look, really easy. You just put this on here, tape it down. That's another failing I have, not taping it down. Tape it down and trace it out, okay? So you're ready, but put these up so you've done your work once so you can still use it later, okay? So save them in like a little folder, manila envelope. All right, so then in the key was we put our lines down so everything was gonna line up straight. All right, so then you just, first of all, put your eye, see that? And trace inside of there, all right? And then you decide how far each one of these are going to be away from each other. So then that is consistent too. And that's my problem. I'm not consistent enough. All right, so that made a difference in me laying these out, okay? So then, same thing happens here in the garden. We did the same exact thing with the uppercase. So isn't that fun? Now these are ready with the tracing paper. Now I told you, you can put this on here with graphite paper, or on this we needed, instead of the gray graphite paper, white graphite paper. And then that would lay it out for you really easily, all right? So I hope that makes sense to you, because as a newbie, that was important to me as I was starting the letter, how different that is. Now also, if you put, is there a reason you put tape down here?
Yes, Donna, that's a great teaching moment. If you were actually working on your palette sign, once all of your decorative painting was dry and you wanted to make sure that your stenciling is straight across, you would, if you'll take your pattern sheet there and lay that down. Let's pretend that's taped on your palette board. You use that there as a key for placement, and you can put a horizontal tape line to make sure that all your letters line up perfectly.
All right, this is the other thing I liked because I'm trying to move these around. When Chris would tape this, and then we would decide where they're going to be and slide it under so that we were making...
Tape would be off to the side there, so
Yeah.
you can lift it
Yeah,
up.
so you can lift it up. Okay. Not like that.
It just helps you, these are key tips that help you make sure that the line work of the lettering is always straight.
Exactly. So look, you tape it here, and then you know if you've got this lined up as you're coming across. So now I knew I needed the eye in here, and I still taped it on the wrong side. Okay, but then I can move this and trace it on really well. Okay, so let's go and start working on our letters here. So what we were using, oh, the stencil. I want to show you the stencil. That's what I had it ready for us. Or do we have time to do that?
Yes, we sure do, because that's a key thing. People are going to want to know how to stencil the lettering.
Okay. All right, so I needed to be able to get the stencil in here. So if I put this right here and I tape it on this side, I am not coordinated. You see that? I got tape to me. All right, so then we're going to lift this and bring the eye in here. Okay. So to find where we're going to put the eye.
That's always another tip there too. That's a good rule of thumb to try and make a paper pattern first so that your lettering is always exactly where you want it and it's straight on the line.
There we go. So now we need another piece of tape because we don't want this to move now that I've got it lined up. Okay, and that made it so much easier. All right, so I'm going to pick up a little bit of blue with our paper towel here and get our stencil brush ready. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of blue. This is the Prussian blue. And I'm going to tap here, work some of that off so we don't have too much. Because remember, when you're doing this on here, you're going to let it run up underneath, and that's not going to be good. Well, actually, we did the back color a medium blue, like this, okay? So then you're going to make enough, make sure you have enough that it does what you want. All right, so we're going to put the blue in there. My blue is a little bit lighter.
As Donna's stenciling there, let me share with all of our viewers that one key thing when you're learning how to stencil is to work with what we call a dry brush. You do not want to work with a brush that is fully loaded with paint. That's why you see Donna wiping some of that paint off onto her paper towel. She's loading her brush and then she is removing, or what we call offloading, paint onto a paper towel. If you use the brush fully loaded and then went straight to stencil through the design there, chances are very good that you're going to get what we call a paint bleed or run under of a dollop of paint. It's always best to use a dry brush when stenciling. And there's two different techniques used in stenciling. Professional stencilers will always use the circular motion, using the brush straight up and down, applying a slight pressure, and use the brush in a circular motion, clockwise and then counterclockwise. Most crafters will use what we call a dabbing or a stippling motion. And if you do that, you're just kind of pouncing the tip of the brush over the cut open areas of the stencil. And if you try both techniques, you're going to receive completely two different effects or two different looks. So choose the one that you like the best.
Well, what I wanted is for it to look like it blended. For me, it was easier after I did the circular motion is to tap this in here to make it ombre kind of up. So I was making a little bit of shading like this. Now, so we put all the blue, medium blue first, then we went back to the straight Prussian on the bottom, and up here, a lighter, pure white, cleaning the brush in between, and making sure it's super dry, okay? So then it still looks like we used a lot darker at the bottom, and we came across here to make a darker line across the bottom on each one of our pieces, each one of our letters.
And what brush are you using?
That's a 2 script liner to do that. All right, so that made a huge difference for me when I was working with stencils, that it takes patience, but it's so rewarding when it's all done. It's so rewarding. All right, so last thing we want to show is let's look at the gathering. All right, so what we did, it was a medium blue again. So I'm going to take Wicker white and Prussian blue and my 2 script liner, okay? And a touch of water with that liner just so this moves for me. Roll the brush. Now, what I love about my brush is that I have the long 2-inch number 2, brush, so I can push down and pull with pressure, and then as I come down, I can lift. Okay, so pressure, lift. All right. And you're going to do this all the way around our piece. I can put pressure here, and then have just the tip of the brush, and then come around here, pressure around, and make it comfortable for you, okay? So we're going to come up, pull it towards you, okay? And I like to pull it along with my little finger because it steadies me, all right? And you might have a steadier hand than me, but I like to just do it in shorter spans usually, unless I'm pulling it straight down. Okay? And you're gonna just fill it in totally like we've done here. And sometimes, depending on how big your letters are, sometimes you wanna line both sides of it and then fill in the middle. Then we're gonna take the Prussian blue. I clean this brush and just have the Prussian blue. All right, so I'm going to come down on the outer, on the left side. All right, so the left side's here, all the way down, and the bottom. All right, so then we do the bottom right here and the bottom right there. And that gives you the illusion of depth on here. So can you see that? It's this left side, and inside has got a left side too. All right, all the way, and then across the bottoms. And then the last step we're gonna do when that's dry is we're gonna pick up some white, a little bit at a time, and we're going to take and just brush, that's a little too much, take and brush that white across here on the right side. Okay, so when we went across here, we came down, and a little bit going up, and we're going to get this edge right here and pull down. So there we go. So a lot of little steps, a lot of little tricks. I hope you like some of those tricks we were sharing with you, but you can make your piece look professional by putting all these fun little steps to your work. All right. Oh, I missed one. Real quick, let me show you. See, I just shaded like I did up there, the darker blue on the bottom, all light. Oh, this started out all lighter, really lighter blue. Then white came on. Then we brought some darker in here. Then see how we did on the left side of each one of these and the bottom. So then we just took our script liner with our sap green, and we did little commas, all right, and a little dot, and we are done, all right. So we have the dark blue dot right there. Isn't that fun? Well, thank you so much, guys. It's been great being on with you. And I'm so thrilled to have you share on our Let's Paint Facebook site everything that you've done with us during the year. So be sure to share, hashtag this Let's Paint Challenge, and share your pieces with us. Thank you so much.
This was so much fun. I so appreciate Donna Dewberry being in the Plaid studios with us today. It was so fun to watch the beauty of the magic of her brush every single stroke as she created gorgeous geranium leaves, geraniums, the morning glories, including the little bud of the twist that she shared with everyone, all the way to the beautiful lettering that she did for this project, Gather in the Garden. I hope you enjoyed today's lesson, but before we leave you, let me share with you the upcoming lessons that we have for the remaining of the year in our FolkArt One Stroke Let's Paint Hometown. And remember too that there is a kit available. That kit can be found on plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. For the month of October, our next month's lesson, look at this gorgeous paneled front door. Donna's going to teach you step by step how to paint the door, how to paint the front of the house, add the fall leaves, and look at that beautiful fall wreath right there on the front door. This lesson is all going to be shared with you, again, using a reusable teaching guide, step by step, how to paint everything for this project for the month of October. November, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite projects in our hometown series. It's a big one. Can you see it all completely here? This is a gorgeous sign that would look beautiful hung anywhere within your home or the gallery wall, perhaps, that you've been painting all year long. This one has gorgeous fall colors with the rose and the berries and the leaves all beautifully painted at the top of our sign. And this lettering is so fun. It would be great even to hang on the inside of your foyer, right near the front door. And always, here is the reusable teaching guide telling you step by step how to paint that beautiful fluffy rose and all the beautiful fall colors in the leaves. This one will require a little bit of practice, but I guarantee you it's going to be well worth it. That would be the project for the month of November, and we're going to finish out our hometown series in the month of December with this beautiful scene here. Looking out the window, you're going to see a winter landscape, and I think it's time to just let's stay at home. Again, there is a reusable teaching guide teaching you exactly how to paint all the pine trees, the glow of the sun in the background, and all of the snow too. So I hope you have enjoyed our hometown series so far, and I welcome you to jump in and join the bandwagon and paint with us if by chance you haven't yet. All of the projects can be found on plaidonline.com/Let's Paint. Be sure and check out every single lesson. You won't want to miss a single one. And as you join us, we welcome you to follow our really fun, fantastic Facebook group. It's Let's Paint with Plaid. As you join, be sure and post pictures of your work using our hometown series. Use the hashtag Let's Paint Challenge, all run together with no apostrophe. We'd love to see what you're doing too and be a cheerleader for you. So until next time, I'm Chris Williams signing off, and we thank Donna Dewberry for being in the studio with us today. And we hope that you do just keep painting. Come on, let's paint.